And so I'm happy to invite, I see our first contributor, Miss Bonnie Leonce, who is...
I am interpreting.
I see. So Bonnie's here to interpret for, if I know this young man correctly, it's Lionel?
Smith, yes.
Yes, Lionel Smith, who has a contribution to make. I believe it's connected with the community of deaf persons, yes. Please go right ahead.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lionel Smith, and I'm deaf. There are a few things that I wanted to draw to your attention, so just give me a second because I have an interpreter with me.
Definitely.
There are a few things that I want to point out. The first thing is I watched the video at the beginning, at the opening of this program. I was watching what came up, and I was watching what was there. And I looked at the screen, and I was excited when I saw a deaf person up there on the screen. But then I was like, wait, that deaf person is not expressing themselves how they want to express themselves, because hearing children are able to express themselves a certain way, and deaf people are not allowed that. If you have a teacher there, if you have a teacher giving a script, if you have a teacher that is there, telling them, giving them ideas and pointers about what to say, that's not what should happen. And I think that's an issue, one of the issues that I have with the Irving Wilson School. But I want to ask you a question. What are your plans for Irving Wilson? I literally grew up in that school. I've been there for many years. And I want to know, what do you have planned for them? I finished at 18, and at 18, we were just thrown out there. And now we are here. What is this transformation going to do for us? What is Irving Wilson going to look like? It's like a primary school, but we leave at 18. It's not like we have the opportunity to go to secondary schools as we see them. I have a brother and sister. I have siblings. My sister went to Springer, and my brother went to Dighton Griffith. And I learned from both of them. I had to look at what they were doing and what they were studying, and that didn't look like my curriculum. That is nothing like what I studied. And I was like, I want that. I want that. They're learning different things. They're learning Spanish. They're learning so many different things. Why aren't they teaching us that at Irving Wilson? And, we end up teaching the teachers themselves. And, people look and say, okay, you're having an education. And I'm like, but our children are smart, but we're not seeing how smart they are.
It looks as though he was making one final point, and I'll allow him to go ahead.
Okay, so I remember in 2000, I think that was EduTech, I was at the school, and I had a really great teacher. And I know one of my friends who was there, Miss Worrell. Now she's married and she's left, we would see each other and we would try to have a conversation. But what I was saying before 2000 and what we used to do, we used to cook, we used to do so many different things. We used to learn so many different things. But now it seems like, everything has changed, and even the signing, you're looking at people signing and you're not understanding what they're signing. Even the children aren't understanding what is being signed. And it would be good if people within the deaf community would be able to have the opportunity to help and teach those younger deaf children that are there so that they will understand the language better. We will be willing to roll up our sleeves and work and show them and really teach them. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lionel. And you hang on right there because I want to give the chief an opportunity to respond to you. And let me say this, ladies and gentlemen, I've taken that timer on me because I think that both fairness and inclusion require that we allow the additional time for Lionel through the interpreter to make their points. And so you notice that the timer did not come up. It will come up for you. But I'm giving a fair opportunity, I think, in this instance, for Lionel through the interpreter to go right ahead. Madam Chief, I'm going to hand to you at this point.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lionel. I'm very touched by your contribution. You've made some very valid points. One of the issues that we have right now in our system is that we don't have enough persons like Bonnie Leonce with the quality of education in teaching the hearing impaired or signing for the hearing impaired. You can hear me? Yeah, the deaf. Thank you. The deaf. I remembered being in discussion with the same Bonnie Leonce. We were discussing ensuring a program that we could implement to ensure that persons who endeavor to learn sign language learn the correct sign language. It is something that is on the cards in terms of the proposal, because in order for teachers to teach the deaf any subject, they must be able to sign correctly or sign in a way that the deaf can understand. So teacher training is critical, and we are exploring that. I agree with you, Lionel, when you said that deaf children should have an opportunity to express themselves. That is what we're trying to do when we speak about creating a bright future for every child. The children at the Irving Wilson should be exposed to a similar curriculum to the children in other schools. You should be exposed to the core and any elective of your choice. So we will make sure, in the spirit of inclusion, that when we look at the programming across the basic education system, that we include Irving Wilson and look at the curriculum offerings there as well. I welcome the opportunity for persons who are deaf to go into schools to mentor children who are in a similar position, not only to teach them content, but to show the children that there is a future for them. There is a future for them in terms of giving back. One of the things we also have to consider is a kind of a bridging program where the older children who are deaf have opportunities to work in businesses. So there should be job attachments happening at Irving Wilson at an early stage so that they can continue on. So you've made very, very valid points, and we will make sure moving forward that inclusion is always in the forefront of our minds. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Chief, and thank you, Lionel. Thank you so much, Bonnie. I'll move over to my left now. We have another contributor who's being assisted by Bonnie.
Hold it for him so he can see. Hi, good evening to everyone. My name is Dario. My surname is Nightingale. So I have a list of things, but I'm going to pick the most important ones and just summarize them. So I will begin with the first one. I looked through the book that we were given, and there are a few things that I see that were missing. One of the things was sign language. I want to offer some ideas. Maybe you can have a QR code, and we could have accessed that, and we would have been able to see an interpreter on that once we scanned that QR code, and we would have been able to see that in sign language so that the deaf community would have been able to access this booklet more, and it would have been able to break down the points better for us. So that's just a suggestion. Okay, so one of the things I want to talk about was the Irving Wilson School and how we compare it to hearing primary and secondary schools. There are deaf children who have cochlear implants who have had the opportunity to be mainstreamed into those primary or secondary schools, and they learn a lot. They feel more comfortable, and the communication is so much better. They're able to they know their signs, and then they can dream. Their sense of self-identity is really actualized when you see so much, when they see so many opportunities, and they grow up. And if more deaf children, if we had the opportunity to really, really mix and mingle with hearing children in primary and secondary schools, it would really make our lives so much easier. We'll be able to feel a sense of pride. We'll be able to feel a sense of worth. We'll be able to just know that we're able to dream. When you go into Irving Wilson, the buck practically stops there. So I have a question that I want to pose to you. What are the qualifications for hiring a teacher at the Irving Wilson School? That's the question.
I think we can pause to have it responded to.
I was going to call on my Deputy Chief Education Officer with responsibility for schools. So I'll let her speak with you there.
So good evening, all. Generally, the qualifications would be the basic qualifications for teachers. But for the Irving Wilson School, we're trying to look for persons who can sign. And because we know we have a mixture of individuals at that school, we would have persons who are hearing impaired, persons who are autistic, and persons who are visually impaired. So we tend to look for qualifications for persons who will be able to teach those individuals, persons who might have the ability to transpose, if that's the right word, into Braille, and also to assist the students there at the school. So those are the basic qualifications that we do seek.
Okay, but what we're seeing as far as the signing is not good enough.
Yeah.
When people are applying for a job, any other job, and you look at the skill set that they have and the different qualifications that they have, and one of the things should be, if you understand members of the deaf community, if you understand the language, the sign language that we use, what you see a lot at Irving Wilson is what we call SEE, Sign Exact English. And it's really important to be able to teach deaf children in a way that they'll understand, because English and sign language are not the same. They're grammatically separate, two separate languages. I remember in the past, we've been involved in NIFCA, and we won awards in NIFCA. I remember a teacher, a really, really good teacher, who taught us, music and how to dance and drama, and it really encouraged us and really supported us and supported the deaf children. Even when they became deaf adults, they'll be willing to support deaf people. That's who we want. We want people who are able to support the deaf community regardless, not just put someone in a school until their age of retirement, but people who value and understand the value and importance of sign language. Not people who sign with no facial expressions, their body language is dead, and they want to encourage and they want to inspire a generation. And that's not going to happen. We want our deaf children to become successful. And that's why we would like that there is more inclusion of deaf children into hearing primary and secondary schools so that they will have access and improvement. And the last point is when babies are born at QEH. We wait so long for their hearing to be tested, but when babies are born, their hearing should be tested right there and then. And then once it's tested, you should be able to then know how to work and how to improve the life of that deaf child. That deaf child should be seeing signs. If they're born deaf, they should be seeing signs just like how you teach a hearing baby. You're talking to a hearing baby. And so when they grow up and they develop, they'll be able to learn more because they would have had their first language, which is sign language. So when you start from a baby, it's important. So testing at an early age is better, and it helps them. It helps their mind. It helps them. The parents are proud of them, and that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much for, and I'd have to say, 2 very moving contributions, and it forces us to ensure we continue to be mindful. Thank you very much, and thank you for the support as always, Bonnie. I'll come over, as I had done before, to my right.